There is a hidden power buried within the ancient words of the Psalms. A power that is very profound, that when truly understood, it really can restore the body, renew the mind, purify the soul, and save you from any curse. This is not mere poetry, nor is the simple prayer to some external force. No begging to some greater being outside of you, some figure in the sky. These words instead really are a formula, like any psalm is. The Psalms are a sacred piece of ancient technology of consciousness, designed to awaken the divine power within you. Psalm 6 is part of what is known as the Psalms of Purification, a very potent collection of psalms that help cleanse the mind of doubt, fear, and illness when properly understood. Individually, each psalm is powerful, but together their potency increases exponentially. There's a link in the description of this video to the full collection, the Psalms of Purification, so you can work with them as a complete practice, and I highly recommend you do. But today, let's focus on Psalm 6, a psalm that will help you release the weight of past mistakes, past thoughts, past beliefs, and instead begin to align with the healing law of consciousness. Now, this is the mystical foundation, that all healing happens through consciousness. In Psalm 6, the psalmist acts out a cry for healing. Now, it might seem that he does so to an external deity, but that's not the case. Really, the cry out happens to the inner Lord, or the I Am presence, the divine imagination within. When you begin to understand this, you really stop seeing the Psalms as these external pleas and instead begin to recognize them as instructions for shifting your own consciousness. The ancients taught us in scripture and many other texts like the Hermetica that consciousness is the only reality. What you're conscious of being, you ultimately become. If sustained, that is what you remain. Disease, weakness, suffering are not some conditions that are imposed upon you from an outside force, but really rather states of consciousness that you've accepted and sustained within. Now, to be healed, you must assume the state of wholeness. And I'm not saying that you did this consciously. The problem is this happens frequently unconsciously. Many people have been asleep their entire life to this power within and unconsciously have used it to create a life that they don't fully align with. In the Kabbalion, for example, it affirms this principle. It says the all is mind, the universe is mental. Healing is not about the body or changing the body. It's really about changing the mind first, the consciousness, the assumption of self. Now, Psalm 6 is a wonderful guide to aid you with this shift. Each verse reveals the process of dissolving this inner resistance that you might have, purifying these false beliefs, and restoring the realization of perfect health. So now let's together analyze Psalm 6 as a whole, verse by verse. O Lord, rebuke me not in thine anger, neither chasten me in thy hot displeasure. Now, here the Lord represents consciousness. I am, not some being out there on a cloud, not some creature, some figure that made you or created you. This is about the law of consciousness, the immutable law that governs all manifestation, realization, and really all of creation. When you experience sickness or suffering, it's not because some divine punishment. It's not because you didn't follow some law created by man. It is because of an unconscious assumption sustained within. The phrase, rebuke me not in thine anger, really means, let me not suffer the consequences of my own unconscious thinking. Let me be purified, not through hardship, but through understanding. Anger and displeasure, in a mystical sense, are the effects of an unconscious creation. When you dwell in fear, when you assume illness, when you believe in limitation, these beliefs are rebuking you through their outpictured results. But Psalm 6 is a wonderful degree that helps you awaken from this reinforcing cycle. Now in verse 2 it tells us, "Have mercy upon me, O Lord, for I am weak. O Lord, heal me, for my bones are vexed." Now mercy in spiritual terms is grace. It is the recognition that you are not bound by past assumptions. I am weak is the recognition that the old self, the old state of consciousness, has no power. The belief in sickness is weakening, dissolving, and fading away. My bones are vexed speaks to this deep structure of subconscious belief that you have. The bones represent a foundation, of course, right? Just like for the physical body, the bones are the foundation. Here they act as an unseen framework of thought. When the foundation is built on fear, on limitation, it crumbles and you get all these potential health struggles. But through conscious reformation, the structure of the mind is rebuilt in divine perfection. And then it continues, "My soul is also sore vexed, but thou, O Lord, how long?" This verse captures that moment of frustration, right? That everyone who has dealt with health issues has felt. That moment when the conscious mind begins to wrestle with doubt. How long, you ask, how long do I have to suffer? How long will it take for me to be healed? It's the question that really everyone asks. Why does the outer world still reflect my past beliefs? Why has my healing not yet appeared? But understand this, that healing is not a matter of time, but of realization. The moment you assume perfect health as your reality, the outer world must conform. "Return, O Lord, deliver my soul. O save me for thy mercy's sake." The return here means a shift in awareness, a return to divine recognition, because really this being a fundamental property of your being, this is not something you're learning new, this is something you're rediscovering. This is something you knew before, but instead, you fell. We had the fall from the Garden of Eden, the fall of humanity. You fell in your awareness. You started to slumber and fell asleep. And so with this return, with this shift, we realize that this deliverance is not external. It's really the freeing of your own mind from this hypnotic belief in disease. When you cease to identify with this limitation, you are saved, you return to your divine state. Now verse 5 tells us that, "For in death there is no remembrance of thee, in the grave who shall give thee thanks?" Death here, in many cases, death refers to transformation, but in this case it's referring to spiritual forgetfulness. It does not refer to any kind of physical death. Remember that the Psalms, every single one of them, are using the language of symbolism. To be spiritually asleep, because that is what you have been, is to forget your divine power. It is sort of to be dead, is to be in a grave. There's no change there. It's only getting worse, just like a corpse decays over time. And so this is something you might have felt as well, that your health condition has grown worse. And that's because it's been self-reinforcing. A person who identifies with suffering and sickness has buried themselves under these false assumptions. Now, that last part really refers to the fact that only when you awaken from this dream, when you remember and realize this truth of your being, that this gratitude and healing can begin to emerge. And again, remember, this is something that emerges from within, not through any outside force. It might appear so, but these appearances can be deceiving. "I'm weary with my groaning. All the night make I my bed to swim. I water my couch with my tears." This verse perfectly captures this dark night of the soul that many people go through. This moment just before awakening. And these tears are the release of all limitations. So both physically and symbolically, it is okay to cry. It is okay to release this stress, this tension you've been feeling. The mind, your soul, having wrestled with this suffering, reaches a point of exhaustion. And in that exhaustion, if you allow it to flow freely, this new clarity can be born. "Now mine eye is consumed because of grief. It waxeth old because of all mine enemies." The eye here represents divine perception. When grief begins to overtake the mind, that perception of truth is clouded. But here is the key. Enemies here are not external forces. Like I've stated before, they really are these thoughts and beliefs that oppose your divine truth. This verse is a warning that grief and fear distort true perception. When you let go of them, clarity is restored. Now depart from me, all ye workers of iniquity, for the Lord hath heard the voice of my weeping. This is that moment of transformation. Depart from me is really a command. It's not asking. It's not asking nicely. It's a command. It's an instruction. It's the final rejection of all limiting beliefs. The old consciousness is cast out. For the Lord hath heard. Well, again, the Lord is not some outside being. It's your inner self. So have you heard your own word? Have you heard your own command? Have you accepted your own command? And when you do so, it sinks down into your deep mind, into the subconscious mind. And now the same mechanism that has caused you all this misery, all this pain, begins to work for you and begins to restore you to a place of health and vitality. Healing is now in motion, and this new state of consciousness is now being anchored, and the manifestation is certain. Now, the last couple of verses I will leave for you to interpret. They're quite easy, so I think you can do it. And it would be nice if you could share your interpretation with us in the comments below. It is incredibly important to remember the practical application of this psalm. Don't just listen to it, don't just read it. This is where many people go wrong. In order for this message to be truly internalized, it can't just be internalized with the analytical mind. It must be accepted by your entire being. And a part of that is practice, right? So if you want to use Psalm 6 and potentially even the whole collection of Psalms, the Psalms of Purification, then recite this psalm daily, out loud, knowing that each word is a decree of transformation to your own deep mind. And as you speak these words, use your divine eye, the eye of imagination. Use it to clearly see in potentiality what really already is so. As you speak, visualize yourself already healed from your problem, feel it to be true, and affirm, I am whole, I am free, this divine health flows through me now. And then sit in silence and know that it's not about effort, that true healing, it is not about working hard. It's about resting in the knowing that you are already whole and healed. Psalm 6 really is more than just a prayer. You can see it as a spiritual operation. It really is a formula for transforming your consciousness from sickness to health and restoring this divine order. So work with this psalm, feel the truth within it, and most importantly, begin to now live from the state of healing. Now, if you want to go deeper with purification, then you can watch the full compilation of the Psalms of Purification in the link down in the description. Each psalm in this collection is a key to a greater awakening. Now, if you found this teaching on Psalm 6 helpful, I would ask you to please share this video with one who might need it. You can subscribe to this channel for more lessons on the Psalms coming in the future. Thank you, and take care.